Okay, let's jump into the breakdown. So the reason I'm making this breakdown is because I feel like I kind of skimmed past everything and I just want to go into a bit more detail. So let's jump into it. So the video I'm going to talk about is this R8 video that I put out a while ago now. If you want to check it out, it's on my page on Instagram or TikTok. The reason that I think that a car video is a good example is because, like I was saying, there's no dialogue, there's no interview by a person to kind of guide it. So we just kind of have to make our own narrative. So for this one, like I was saying, you should pick a theme. The theme for this one was a thunderstorm aspect. The reason for that is because we wanted to catch golden hour, but we missed it just slightly. I mean, it was there a bit, but it looked kind of gloomy. If you can see here, it looked like it was going to rain. So, and plus the skies were quite blue. The car was looking a bit blue too. I mean, obviously that was a bit of the color grade, but I just felt like a thunderstorm would be a good direction to go in. When I did the RS3 video not too long before this, that one was basically, we were shooting the car in in nature basically. I mean, it was like a really nice calm setting, but the car itself was looking kind of mean and intimidating. So for that one, I wanted to go for like a whole ambience of this menacing kind of vibe, and so that's what I went for. So essentially, it's just whatever you think would match the car or the setting that you're in. So yeah, once I'd picked the theme, like I was saying, I picked out, well, it doesn't have to be in this order, but you could pick out a soundbite from a popular movie or a video that you've seen. So I was thinking back to a movie I've seen called A Place Beyond the Pines. And in that, there's a scene where the guy says to his friend, you know, if you ride like lightning, you crash like thunder. So I thought that would be a good fit for obviously this video. I believe that is here. So how I found this was that I just went onto YouTube and I searched for the scene, and then I just downloaded it and trimmed it accordingly, and then I placed it depending on how I wanted the pacing to feel like.
You know something? If you ride like lightning.
So obviously the actual audio file doesn't sound great, but when it's laid in, it's kind of subtle.
You know something? If you ride like lightning, you're gonna crash like thunder.
So that just kind of helps build up the anticipation to the actual thunder when it's going to crash. Yeah, and then the actual, in terms of the sound effects, as you can see here on my timeline, this is only a 40-second video, but we've got all of this going on. So these are the actual sounds from the clips from the day, these blue ones here. And then I've got, I'll call these sound beds. Essentially, these are the ones that are going to stay based on the actual setting and the scene that you're in. So because we're on the rooftop and we're outside, all of these have the same sound bed. When we go inside for this kind of like gritty, let's call it like slow shutter kind of part where it's like high intensity, I get rid of them. But then when it comes outside again, I bring it back just to show the emphasis that we're moving locations or the situation is changing. And it also helps, you know, build out that calm aspect. And then here, I've got loads of sounds here, which basically, some of them are transitions, like whooshes that help basically go into another shot. Some of them are based on what's happening in the scene. So as you can see here, I believe this will be like the engine, kind of like grumbling, if you listen here. And you can be a bit creative because these are actually sounds of like a monster growl, but it kind of adds to the aspect of the car engine being kind of mean and intimidating. And obviously it's laid with the actual engine sound here, which is not the best audio because obviously it was recorded on a microphone on my camera. What's this? I'll get into that in a second. So essentially what I wanted to talk about in finding these sound effects, or, you know, gathering all of them, how do you even think of them? What I like to do is I like to export a frame from here in Premiere Pro. I use this one because I feel like it establishes the scene. It shows the car, it shows the setting. Obviously, it's city centre car park, the sun's setting. So it just gives a lot of context to what's happening. You export it, you can save it. And then I like to upload it to ChatGPT and I prompt it. And this is what I said to it. I said, so I'm editing a cinematic car video. The setting is a rooftop of a city centre car park. Here's a frame. The theme is a thunderstorm build-up. Build me out a soundscape with the following suggestions: ambient sounds, Foley, transitions, and anything else you think will be applicable. And then he sent me back all of this information here. You don't have to use all of them, of course, but it's just kind of just give you inspiration or just kind of give you a little nod in the right direction. For example, you might not even think of like, the keys kind of like jangling, or like, the indicator clicking, or you can hear someone else's car driving in the situation, although it might have just been you. It just kind of gives you sort of hints as to what you can add in there to kind of just build it out. Also, it helps in figuring out what to search. Don't get me wrong, these ones here aren't great, but they kind of just remind you, okay, maybe I should search for that and download that. So when you search for sound effects, it's a bit easier. The reason I do this, I mean, of course, you could do it yourself. You can think of all the ideas yourself. It's possible. But I just feel like it just saves time. And like I was saying, it's in case you don't think of something, it just kind of gives you that inspiration in terms of what to search. When it comes to finding these sound effects, you can use a website like Pixabay. The sound effects here are free. You can use other stuff. I believe you can use YouTube. You can find stuff on there. Pexels, I was saying Pexels, you can use it, but it seems like they don't have that option anymore, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, you can search something like distant traffic, and then you'll get to listen to it here. If you like the sound of it, then you can just download it and it'll save to your laptop. Don't get me wrong, it can be a bit tedious in terms of finding all of these sound effects. That's why sometimes you can download sound packs by different creators and stuff like that. But I feel like if you want to find it the free way, you can. Sometimes it's also good to use like a platform like Epidemic Sounds, something like that. I mean, this is not sponsored, but I like to use it occasionally because you can find better sound effects. But the option is there if you want to do it for free. And after a while, to be honest, you'll build up a whole collection that you can always refer back to. So next time you do a car video, you know where they're all already stored. But yeah, when it comes to placing these into your timeline, like I was saying, you can put them into different locations based on what the setting is with the video. But you can change these sounds. You can layer them to, work a bit better. So for example, this crash here with the lightning, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, there's like 4 or 5 different sounds laid on top of each other to emphasize that kind of crash. Sorry if that was a bit loud. Also, like I was saying, you don't have to use the exact situation for what the sound is. So like here with the monster growl, you don't have, you don't have to use an exact engine sound, but you can use that to layer on top. And then here with the gear, when he's shifting it, I just used some sound of like some metal hitting into each other, just like that. And I did it again here. But if you layer it with like a riser, you get this kind of crash. So it just kind of adds to the ambience a little bit. I'll just play this little sequence here and you can hear all the different sounds.
You're gonna crash like thunder.
So here, what I like to do is change up the pacing a little bit. It goes from high intensity, and then it goes to this like really mellow kind of ambient atmospheric sound. In terms of the car as well, you don't have to necessarily use what you filmed on the day. You could find sounds of like an R8, driving online or on YouTube or something and just download it. But it's best to do it based on the actual car that you're shooting, just because some people can actually tell the difference. And then here, when I was talking about, changing the sound to match what you're after, for example, like let's say there's a whoosh that you want to use, but it doesn't match the pacing of the transition, you can change the speed of it by just going to the duration and just changing that by the percentage, and it'll match better. Here, for example, because the video is coming to a close, I wanted things to be a bit more mellow, so I applied a low pass. So here's the sound effect of the actual city without the low pass. It's just a bit too, it seems a bit too close, whereas obviously it's a bit distant because we're at the top of a rooftop. So if you put the low pass on there, you can hear this. So things like that just kind of further add to that world that you're building out. The low pass essentially just lets the lower frequencies pass through. I'm not an expert in terms of audio effects, but if you play around with them, if you look for tutorials online, you'll be able to get a better understanding of it, because I've got a lot to learn myself. And then, as I was saying, in terms of the stem splitter, essentially what that is a website here. It's called voice.ai. It's one that I use. It's free, which is good. So you get a track that you've heard on maybe TikTok or YouTube or something like that, and you download it. And then when you upload it onto here, it basically splits it into different sections. So for example, if a song has the singing, it has drums, it has a piano element, it's got guitar, this isolates them and then lets you download them individually. So I'll show you an example of what I did. So there was this song that you probably heard. So I feel like that kind of humming just would work well in this video, but obviously I didn't want to use a song, so I used that stem splitter and I got this out of it. And of course on its own it just sounds a bit weird. You're probably thinking, how would that fit into the video? But if I remember where I placed it, I think there. So that's the actual sound effect. I put the low pass on that as well actually, and then you can hear it here. So it's not actually, you can't actually hear it on its own. You can hear the things happening with it. You can hear the tires on the concrete. You can hear, distant traffic. But it's just there and it's kind of looming. So it just builds up that anticipation, which is what you want. Another thing you can do is you can show what's on screen being closer. So as you can actually see the city, you can hear more of the sounds of the city. And as it goes away, it fades out, like here. And then also you can do these little whoosh transitions based on the movement. So this little spoiler's going up now. You've got the boot opening. And yeah, so there's little things you can do, just tweak it and just play around with it. And yeah, I mean, it's not too in depth, but I hope it's of benefit to anybody that's interested in adding or using more sound effects. Obviously, if there's a whole issue of you don't want to use music, or you do use music and you just want to figure out how to utilize sound effects a bit better. I'm not an expert, I'm just learning myself, but if it's been a benefit, then yeah, I'm glad. If there's anything else you think I could help with, or if this format hasn't been good, if you think that I could do better in a different way, then just let me know. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.